Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, as you can tell here, I have a new set of hand watercolor. I am absolutely in love with this set. So, I have these papers here to show you, and then hopefully you can see to the side the actual paint set. And this, I'm going to color this, like speed color it at the end. I thought this was a good one. This is fairy dust. I thought it's pretty simple. You know, there might be one that says fall. Let's see. Hold on. That's one I started and never finished. It's pretty good though. I love her books. Yep, I'm going to do that one. So, anyway. I think she has one that's like this in her seasons book. So, anywho, this is a swatch that I did for the book, or for the paint set, sorry. And so this swatch, I just used some like painter's tape this way, and I did have to redo the labels here because they just didn't come out too great. So, but yeah, it has a really nice selection of colors, most of which are a +3 on the transparency opaque scale that they have. The only one, I made a list, and the only one that is there's only one that's a +2, and that is the Hooker's Deep Green. This one is a +2. There's one which is the Permanent Green, and that is semi-transparent, so basically translucent, because there's translucent, or there's transparent, there's translucent, semi-opaque, and opaque. This is, if you look on the thing here, I'll show you. Hopefully you can see, right there, I'm going to bring this up so you guys can see. There's a little square right where my finger is. And there's another one next to it in the next color. The Azo Deep and the Azo Light have a square with half of it blocked out. That means that it is semi-opaque. Okay. Now, the one that I was telling you about, the Permanent Green, has a, I don't know if this is going to show up on camera, but has a line through it, but both sides are clear. It means it's translucent, if I understand things correctly. And the rest of them are like, just got an empty square, which means they're transparent. And the one that was +2, if I'm not mistaken, was the Permanent Green. And I think that's, oh yeah, Hooker's Green Deep is also a +2. The rest are like +3. Sorry, my cat is knocking things over. Okay, so when I did the swatch, which I did film, and I'll show that to you later. I did show you the box, but I'll show it to you again. It came packaged like this, and of course it wasn't all used up like that. Nothing came broken or damaged. It was all in good condition. I did not know when I first bought this that Royal Talents had made this. They're from Holland or something like that. I have some of the brushes, and they are definitely a budget brush. They're okay. They're not like awesome, but they're they're okay for a budget, you know, brush. So I didn't know that at first. I just saw the Van Gogh and I did not see the talents thing. But for $35, for 18 half pans plus 2 tubes, brush, and this little foamy thing, a styrofoam thing, it's a good value in my opinion. So again, I printed this out because I thought this would be an excellent reference chart. If anybody wants a, and I also did this at the bottom, there's also, if you ever see a triangle where it's half blocked out and half not, that means it somewhat stains. If it's clear, it means it doesn't stain at all. And then if it's blocked in, it means it stains a lot, like phthalo green, for example. Like the phthalo colors tend to stain. And then there's also a G for granulate and an N for non-granulating. I don't see that any of those anywhere on here, but I put that in there just as for my own personal education. So if anybody wants a copy of this minus that, sorry, I will be happy to put that into a PDF and send it to you. No charge whatsoever. I think it's a very useful thing to have around. I wish that I could do this with more of my paint sets. But yeah, so I would be happy to, you know, share that. As well as a somewhat cleaned up version of this. I mean, obviously I would clean this up a little bit, but I'm kind of new to swatching paint, you know, paints. So I'm still sort of learning. Like I nailed this one. I'm still learning kind of how to do it from dark then to light. It's kind of an art form. This one I did good on. But it has such a nice selection of colors. I mean, it has these greens, these fabulous greens, from the cool permanent green, excuse me, to a warm hooker's green, to a warm sap green, to the cool viridian. I love viridian. Oh my gosh. And then the sepia, yellow ochre, vermilion, which is a nice orangey red. It's very orangey in this case. It's more orange than red, in my opinion. They really went heavy with the orange. Quinacridone rose, which I was surprised to find in a paint set. It's kind of rare. I actually have one of those from oh my god, I cannot even say it. Cilinier. I have several quinacridones. Oh my god, I cannot speak today. So, quinacridones. I got several of those from Cilinier from Jackson Art. They are science-based made. I learned a whole bit about them. They're like lab-made type paints. They're really interesting. You should check it out. Look up the quinacridone series of paints. You will find out that they started out, I know this is a side trail, but it's fascinating. The quinacridones started out as a car paint, a paint for cars, a base to add into car paint, because it made the color pop on the car. And it went from there. For the longest time, it was just car paint a piece of the paint for the cars. God, I cannot talk. All right, so, and then it's got the permanent red. It does have one warm red, which is the Madder Lake Deep. It's a little short on the reds if you as a overall, if you ask me, but apparently I could have gotten a bigger set, 48, and I didn't even see that, but it's okay. This one was within my budget, so. And the other one, as I saw later on, was not. This one was, as I said, 35, which is, for all I got, is pretty reasonable. It's got a nice couple of, you know, warm red, browns. See the burnt sienna. My words are not wanting to come today. Okay, deep breath. So, and then the burnt umber and the sepia to me are the two key, because you can build so many things off of these two colors right here. And the burnt sienna. These three really are critical. One of the reasons I bought these was because of the Azo colors, especially the Azo Deep and the Hooker's Green Deep. Somebody told me, Alicia, she's a fellow streamer. She told me if I mix Azo Deep and Hooker's Green, I can get, I forget the color, but it was really cool. So, you know what? Let's do that real quick, because I can't remember what she told me it was, but I'm gonna, let's find out, guys. I have arranged my paints in the order that they appear on here. They were not in this order when they came to me. I've shuffled the order around because I wanted it a certain way, and they do come out pretty easy. So let's move that aside and I'll show you. They come out really easy. So if you are traveling or whatever, I would be cautious if they're wet. I would be cautious how much you like sling them around. They do come out pretty easy, which in itself is a good thing. It has the paint number on the end here imprinted on it. So, but I also put the name, or at least enough for me to know what it is. But I did my greens, and then the, you know, like the yellow ochre, and then the reds, the yellows and blues. I just wanted it that way. So let's try. I'm gonna see if I can remember what, because I asked her and she said if you combine the Azo with the Hooker's Deep, and I was like, and I can't remember now. It was so long ago, I can't remember what it was, but I finally found a palette with these two colors in it. I was like, yes. Because I love playing around with these little palettes. Let's see, it's the third one, 2, 3. Okay. So, and I also recommend getting your little palette thing. Drop some water onto it first, either with your brush or with one of these little eyedroppers. I got some of these on Amazon, and I swear they're the best thing ever. You can take and just do this. Look at that. Oh, excuse the neighbor's dog. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's see. And the Azo Deep would be this one. But look how easy that is. It's really amazing. And let it, give it just a few seconds to sort of activate the paint. By doing that, you'll be digging into your paint less, and you might have to re-wet it at some point, but not only will you be less stress on your paintbrush, but you'll be digging into the paint less. So that's just a little bonus tip. And there is this fabulous little tray here. You see it's divided up. So, but yeah, you guys make sure you guys can see. I want to see it. And look how pigmented that is. Isn't that incredible? I mean, geez, these paints are amazing. I mean, so for student grade. And I've seen other people post the same comments for student grade. These paints are amazing. Like, you do not have to get quote unquote professional grade watercolor to do really nice stuff with, paint with. You don't have to. There are such excellent student grade paints out there. Unless you're a professional artist, then that's kind of a different thing, and I'm not, so I'm still have a lot to learn about watercolor. I by no means know it all. So now let's get this. Now I don't know if it was Azo light. She didn't specify, so I'm just gonna take a guess here and go for the deep. It's like a dirty yellow, if you can tell. So let's see what happens. I'm so excited. Let's see what this does. Ooh, that is so pretty. It's a really pretty shade of green. Oh, look at that. Huh. That is pretty. It's almost like a light. It's kind of... It's like a cross between sap green and permanent green. It's really pretty. I wonder if I add a little more. I'm just rinsing off my brush. Sometimes you can have the right 2 colors or 3 colors, and sometimes you just have to add a little more of one, a little more or a little less of the other. You know, just play around with it. Now, I wonder what would happen if I added this azo light. I didn't know there was like a... I knew there was azo, but I didn't know there was like azo deep and azo light. I didn't know. Again, I still have a lot to learn. So let's try the azo light. By the way, this permanent yellow is lemon yellow is absolutely stunning. Right, that is absolutely a stunning color. Whoops, wrong one. Okay. Let's see what this does. Because it's a little bit brighter, so. Oh, by the way, I highly recommend this ceramic. It's heavy. This ceramic palette I have, it is very heavy. And it is highly breakable, but it is also quite amazing. Just getting a little more water. Huh, look at that, guys. Isn't that pretty? That is absolutely... I like it with the... Oops. Got to rinse my brush out. If that happens, don't freak out. Just let it dry, or just get like a little dry, clean brush and gently sort of tap the color out. That's not the end of the world. I am digging this. And the more yellow I add, the better I like it. Look at that. That's so pretty. Oh my goodness. That is so flipping pretty. Can you guys see that? Oh, and I'm decorating my desk. Great. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Look at that. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. But you see how the paint just slides around on this ceramic? It's really amazing. Oh my gosh, I love this color, you guys. Ah, so pretty. I don't exactly know what it is. Just a light green, I guess. But it's kind of a cool color, but kind of a warm color too. It's kind of like, to me, it's a little bit of both. It's warm, but it's light. It's cool, but it's warm. Like, it's kind of both. That's interesting. I'm gonna flip this and see these little knot things for your. It just lines the whole thing, so you can just take something. In this case, I really love this color and I want to save it, so I'm just gonna pull it over here. And I'm just kind of going like that, so I'm not pushing too hard on my brush, getting as much of this color as I can. Also because I want to clean off my palette too. Whoops. And I just slung some paint on across my desk. That's lovely. Okay. Now, if I wanted to get a lighter color, I could just do like I did there and get some more water and just do that, and you've got like a wash version of it. There. Ta-da. Now, what I recommend is keeping a towel or paper towel or rag or whatever handy for things like this. You said clean, that wipes out, and nothing will stain this because of it being ceramic. That's the benefit of that, is your staining colors will not stain this. So, like your staining colors, if I'm not mistaken, Prussian blue is, which is this one, is extremely staining. This color is very staining. it stains, like ridiculous stains. I think the cobalt blue does too, to some extent. The permanent red, I think, and there is a way to find out. You know what? Let's test that theory out. Hold on. I'm going to get me a piece of paper. Oh my gosh, sorry about my neighbor's dogs. The dog is sweet, but he's a barker. He's so sweet though. Okay, so one way you can find out if it's a stainer or not is to take one that you think is, like I think. No, I know the Prussian blue is. I'm gonna let that activate for a second or two. Okay, I'm gonna take some, and I'm going to, hold on, turn my paper around. And I'm just kind of messing around here. Like I said, I'm not the best freehand artist, guys. So I have so much to learn in that department. It's not funny. That's why I joined in the studio with Michelle, because she, oh my gosh, she's a very talented artist. And also Emma, there's a lady by the name of Emma that lives in Canada, and she is also fabulous with wet media, especially watercolor. Okay, so now what you do is you let that dry, or you be like me and you get impatient and you pull out your hair dryer or your heat gun. Okay, and you got to be careful too when you're doing that not to bake your paper, because when you do that, you will, it sort of causes the fibers to expand and develop muscle memory. So yeah, I just be very careful. I've done that in the past, and I recently was advised to be cautious by somebody who knows better than me. And so now I'm a little more careful, knowing that it sort of permanently alters the fibers in the paper. Knowing that, I'm a little more careful now. So, yep, that's dry. So, you take your clean brush, and this is the brush, by the way, that came with the set. This is the brush that came with the set, and it's not too bad. It's I think probably a 4 or 5, 6, something like that. I think it's a 4. I'm guessing. It doesn't say, but I would guess this is a 4. Let's see. Oh no, it does say. Oh, it's a 6. I was actually not too far off. It does say right there. It's a 6. I was in the ballpark. You know, I do have a lot to learn still. I was actually pretty close. I said between a 4 and a 6. So, okay. So anyway, you take your clean wet brush, not like dripping wet. Just, you know, you don't want water pouring off of it or anything. But you take your brush and you just go like this. And you see there, it's still on the paper. It's still there. It did not, it moved around some, but that's just because I had a lot of, I had actually too much paint in the first place. So, but you can see it's still, the paper, it stained into the paper. It worked itself into the paper. I don't know how else to explain it exactly, but it's a permanent part of the paper, and so it will come off some, but that's as much as it's going to come off. It's not going to it's not going to come off any more than that. So what you want to do is take a color that you think is not, which I'm gonna say I'm gonna try my ochre. I love this color, by the way. See, I'm going to try to move this paint around a little bit more than I did. And I'm not really being very careful. I'm not trying to be super artistic here. I know this is kind of terrible. I told you, I need to work on my drawing skills, like for real. But that's kind of not the point of this, so. That one came out kind of cute, actually. Oh, there's a good leaf shape. Oh well, I know it's nothing fabulous, y'all. It looks like a 5-year-old did it. But what you do is, once again, you dry it. And voila, by magic, it is dry. Let thee be dry. Okay, so take your clean wet brush and try not to knock your thing over. Let's see, I think this one is non-staining. It might be partially stained. Oh, look at that. See? There it goes. And there it is. This one is, I would classify this one as semi-staining. I would give it a half. I would give it a half a triangle, because there is still some on the paper, but not a lot. So I would give this one a half. But you see how this process goes. That's how you do it. And so I just thought that would be something, well, I thought about it, a nice little rabbit trail for you guys to enjoy and maybe experiment with. And let's see. Let's put this up for now. Okay, so back to what I was saying about these. It really does have a really nice, and the thing that really surprised me is I got this big old tube of Chinese white, which I absolutely do not need, you guys. I have a thing of Winsor & Newton Chinese white that's like this. I absolutely do not need it, but that's okay. I guess you could never have enough white. I don't know. I guess it depends on your perspective. So, but the thing that surprised me was this. There is no black. Okay? There's no black in this, which I was not too happy about that. But this Payne's gray is absolutely phenomenal. It is such a beautiful, beautiful color. Oh, I mean, I don't know that this right here does it justice. I did a good swatch of it. I don't know if that does it justice. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's such a beautiful color. And I made the most beautiful, let's put this aside. I made the most beautiful dioxazine. I call it dioxazine purple, but either way, it was a gorgeous, gorgeous purple. I did it by accident, kind of. I was playing around, and I took a little bit of that. And this does not have violet. This set does not have violet, which I was not too happy about. So I grabbed one of my, because I was just playing around, so I grabbed one of my cheapo violets. I used this Payne's, beautiful Payne's gray. And then I just grabbed one of my Artist Loft violet. And oh my gosh, the purple that I made from this, I'm going to show you. And this is proof, by the way, that you don't necessarily have to have high-end paints to make beautiful color. It's just not necessary for the average person. This color, oh my goodness, was amazing. Hold on, too much paint. There we go. Watch this. This color is extraordinary. Whoops, too much black. Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. I think I got a little too much Payne's gray down there. Whoopsie. Hold on, gotta add a little more. It's a very, very dense, it says +3, which on the, you know, but I'm telling you, this is pretty opaque in my opinion. It has a +3, but I don't, and it has the full open square, which means transparent, but it's not, in my opinion. It's not at all. It is quite opaque. So is the Chinese white. I don't think that they should have that status of fully transparent, because I don't think they are. But this color is absolutely gorgeous. You see, I used too much Payne's gray. Man. Yeah, I used too much Payne's gray. Crap. Okay. That's how opaque this is, though. It says transparent, and it's not. It's not, you guys. Like, see how I have to keep adding more of the violet? It's the violet is fairly transparent, but you see that I have to keep adding, which is fine because I have a thing I can save this in, but how I have to adding in because it's so opaque. Like, I think it deserves a solid square, in my humble opinion. There we go. But look at that. See how much purple I had to add, though? Isn't that gorgeous? Let's get that in. And things do tend to spread around on these ceramic palettes, so word to the wise, they do tend to spread out. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous, you guys? Look at that rich color from that Payne's gray from the set, and then just a regular violet. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? So I'll put this over here, because I'm obviously going to want to save that. But you know, you see how opaque it actually is. Like, I think it deserves a different status, because it's not transparent to me. If it was, I would not have had to add that much of my purple as I did. So this is how I kind of do it. I just kind of scoop it in. And if I don't use it for this video, I'll save it. I have little tiny, the little tiny paint jars that are, you can get them at like Michael's or Amazon. And They're really handy for saving paint. I also have a Stay Wet palette, which is an amazing thing. Ugh, I'm getting this all over my, yeah. So, let me show you guys that because it's really cool. I highly recommend getting one of these. It has the little sides that seal it in. You can see the little tray underneath. I highly recommend getting one of these. I put some color into this, and a couple months later, the color was still wet. It hadn't dried up. Like 2 months later. So, Amazon. I think it was Amazon, or I know Michael's has them, but honestly, you get a better deal on Amazon. I highly recommend these. Just as a side note. Okay, so I got most of that paint taken up. I decided to play around a little bit because that's what this video is. It's having a play with my new paint set and showing you all about it. So I took my cobalt and I mixed it a little with some of this, what I call dioxazine purple. That's what it looks like to me. And look at this pretty color. Good gracious, it's beautiful. It's like it's almost like a deft blue, or like a violet blue, maybe. How pretty is that? Ooh, that's gorgeous. I like it. So I'm going to actually add that to that because that's really pretty. And I already have plenty of that dioxazine purple. This is pretty. Oh my goodness. See, and when that gets full, I'll transfer it into one of those little jars or to my Stay Wet palette, and voila. Okay, so now that I've cleaned that mess up, I will say this: the whole box does not weigh very much at all. It's, according to the specs, it's like 12.3 ounces, which is pretty reasonable. The plastic's a tad cheap, but I like these little dividers where you can, it's the lips up just enough that you can put some little water there. I like the little sponge thingy that you can sort of do that with. And even though they didn't have a black, this paint's great. It's absolute magic. I love it. These do come out quite easily, as I said earlier. I don't believe they have, I don't think it comes in open stock, like in a pan. But I know you can get these colors in tube form. So what you can do is take your paint and mix it with a little honey or a little glycerin and fill up your tray that way. So if you use it up, keep your little tray, or buy a set. You can buy them like empty, and just buy the tube of paint that's that particular color. And just mix it with a little honey or a little glycerin, or a little both if you want, and put it in that. And what that does is that it helps keep the paint from cracking as much. So with that said, I do believe I'm going to get started on the picture. So yeah, let's get going. Okay, so this is the completed picture. I did do a color along for, well, I don't know if you call it a color along, more like a speed color for most of it. I used, the majority of what I used were these fabulous Van Gogh paints. And as you can see right here, this green, this permanent green, and the azo yellow did, especially the green, the permanent green did stain the paint, the plastic. So that's why I recommend you use that ceramic palette that I showed you, or no doubt you saw me using, because this is apparently permanent green is partially staining. Yeah, I was not too happy about that, but you know, it is what it is. So the paintbrush that it came with was pretty darn sturdy, I have to admit. So let's put this over here a little bit. It took a lot of abuse. I mean, a lot. Let me rinse it off a little bit more. Still got paint on it. It took a lot of abuse. I mean, I used it for 9/10 of this project. I did use a smaller one for some of it, and this one for some of the background areas. But for the majority of it, I used the paintbrush it came with, and it held up really well. I even forgot to take the paint off one night. I think it was last night. I accidentally forgot to rinse out my brush. And it was fine. I just rinsed it under some hot water and it was good to go. It hasn't frayed or anything. I'm kind of like shocked. So, good brush. This is from Tales from the Forest Kingdom by Hanna Karlzons. I did use some other mediums besides the Van Gogh paint, as you can tell by all the sparkly bits. See? Lots of sparkly bits. Ta-da! Ta-da! So, I don't know if you could tell that the background has some sparkly bits on it. But I used some like glitter watercolor and a couple glitter pens, you know, that kind of stuff. But the majority of this, and I also did use some Inktense blocks. So you probably saw me holding up a little block, or you will. That is the Inktense blocks. Some of them are broken, I know, but it's okay. It's still usable. So this Payne's Gray says that it's opaque. It has like a +3 and it has an empty square with no line through it or no shaded half. I'm telling you, this is so pigmented and, in my opinion, very opaque. I would be cautious with this. A little goes a very long way. So if you get this set, it's about $35 here in the States. Apparently it does come in a slightly larger set, but I got this one because it was within my budget. This Payne's Gray is super pigmented, so go easy on it. Less is more. And this white, this Chinese white, has a +3, but it is also, in my opinion, rather opaque and very strong. I did not use this little styrofoam thing that it came with, but as you can tell, the paints were well used, especially this Azo Deep. Can you see the little hole in it? It's pretty deep. I dug a little too hard, but I used so much of that Azo, like here and here and here, here. You know, I used a lot of it. The only negative thing I would have to say about this set is the lack of real browns. There's like the burnt sienna and burnt umber and a madder red, which is kind of a burnt reddish brown. There's no real true red. There's a vermilion, which to me, this vermilion airs more on the side of orange than it does red, which is kind of vermilion anyway, but I think they went extra hard on the orange. There's no like real, there's sepia, I guess would be the only real brown is the sepia right here. And sepia is a very grayish, darkish brown. So what I miss in this set is it's just a regular brown, like a Van Dyke brown or something like that. You know, some mid-tone brown that's not as dark as sepia, but not as burnt as like the umber and the other one. So, you know, but I love the yellows. These yellows are absolutely amazing. The blues are real good. This Payne's Gray is amazing. As you can see, I used a lot of the Hooker's Green Deep. So, and the Viridian's pretty good. It's nicely pigmented. So, like I said, this is not the order that they came in. I just arranged them this way for my own purposes. But if you do, also beware, this this can happen. So just beware of that. But it shuts pretty nicely. I have no issues with it shutting. I'm gonna see. I heard somebody, reviewers, say that the little things fell out when they turned it upside down or messed around, that the little things fell out. So let's see. Let's see. Wow, look at that. Wow. Oh, goodness. Wow, they were not lying. So, oh, crap. Wow, look at that, you guys. Yeah. So, I would be very careful. It's a good thing I wrote down sap green that goes up here. Oh, it goes up here. Whoopsie. Okay, so they were absolutely correct. And then apparently some of these are still a little sticky. I would be very careful if you do. Let me put this back where I got it. I would be very careful if you fling this around like I just turned it upside down. You saw what happened. So this is a really good set for the price. But I would be very cautious, as you saw what happened. I would be very cautious of, you know, how much you manhandle it. Because apparently they do come out. So yeah, that apparently is the thing. Wow. Oh, and there's some yellow. There's some yellow ochre. By the way, that yellow ochre is quite strong and a little bit on the opaque side, in my opinion. So less is more for that. But yeah, I would be very careful how much you fling that around, because apparently they do come out. So there you go, guys. So yeah, I really love how this came out. I did use some gelatas for the background and a little bit of Prismas for depth. And I used a little bit of Prisma here and there, but not too much. And a little bit here. I absolutely love how this came out. This was a color I mixed up. I know this is the opposite page. I mixed this up for that, and look how pretty that came out. I just gotta take some Prismas to it, and it'll be really pretty. I didn't want to waste the paint. So without further ado, I will show you most of what I did with this, with the exception of the pencil work and some of the last minute glitter work. I didn't film that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Again, it's good for the value. The paint is pigmented very nicely. I just wouldn't be flinging it all over the place. And if you are, it does open pretty easy. If you're going to use this part of it as a palette, which you can, just beware, some of these pigments are staining. So that's just food for thought. Yeah, enjoy, guys. Have a great week. Bye.